What on earth is going on in the First Baptist Church in America? Apparently, they're having visits from evil gods. It's a shame when churches become apostate. And what's traditionally held as the First Baptist Church in America is no different. There's evil that lurks in the heart of this church. And also all that generation were gathered unto their fathers, and there arose another generation after them, which knew not the Lord, nor yet the works which he had done for Israel. Judges 2:10. This is often the case where a godly generation dies off and the next generation does not know the Lord. We've seen this in our country, we've seen this in our churches. And sadly, this is exactly what we see in this church in Rhode Island. The Massachusetts Bay Colony was established by the Puritans, but had no tolerance for other religious views. Those who objected to the Puritan views, in particular the Baptists, were driven from the state, or they were burned at the stake, or they were whipped and beaten and tortured. When a Puritan preacher named Roger Williams began preaching tolerance to these individuals, he ran afoul of the state church. Roger Williams, you're found guilty of spreading new and dangerous opinions, and you are hereby banished from the colony. Upon being driven out of the colony, Roger Williams began moving south to an area that later became Rhode Island. It was there that he met the Narragansett Indians, whose chiefs sold him an island where he could establish a colony as a refuge for himself and others who might flee the persecution of the Massachusetts Bay Colony. Williams established the Providence Plantations Colony in 1636. And then established its first church in 1638. That church today is known as the First Baptist Church in America. Whether it could actually be considered a Baptist church when it was first founded is a matter of contention, because its founder, Roger Williams, left Baptist principles because he believed that the original baptism was lost and required new apostles to reestablish it. There is no regularly constituted church of Christ on earth, nor any person qualified to administer any church ordinances, nor can there be until new apostles are sent by the great head of the church, for whose coming I am seeking. Roger Williams. He was, however, a close friend to the Baptists such as Dr. John Clark and others who followed after him. Dr. John Clark established a genuinely Baptist church on a nearby island in the same year that Roger Williams established his church. What is today known as the John Clark Memorial Church is likely the actual first truly Baptist church in America. But regardless, the church that Roger Williams established also was a Baptist church eventually. Rhode Island was the first of the American colonies to establish freedom of religion, and was the model for what we have in America today. Now fast forward to the late 1800s. On August 20th, 1890, Providence, Rhode Island became the birthplace of H.P. Lovecraft. Lovecraft was to become the author of horror novels that incorporated science fiction elements into it. He wrote of alien gods coming down to wreak havoc on Earth. In particular, one of them was called Cthulhu, and had a many-tentacled face. He wrote of a book called the Necronomicon, that was essentially a satanic spell book bound in human skin. Lovecraft's work came to be known as cosmic horror, and was the inspiration to individuals like Stephen King, the band Metallica, and the creators of the Alien movie series. He died penniless in 1937 at the age of 47. As a child, his family were members of the First Baptist Church in America in Providence, but at a very young age he was kicked out of his Sunday school class because of his wicked imaginations.
This is the church where he tried to break in to play Yes We Have No Bananas on the organ, but the organ was locked. It's also where he was a parishioner as a young boy and was asked not to come back to Sunday school.
He mocked Christianity and the things of God. During his lifetime, his works were not very popular. But today he has amassed quite a cult following, and every 2 years in Providence, Rhode Island, they celebrate his birthday with an event called Necronomicon. In 2015, the opening ceremonies of this event were held at the First Baptist Church in America. This is absolute wickedness. But it's hardly surprising from a church like this. Despite the early stand that the church took for Baptist principles, today they have a female pastor, the Reverend Dr. Jamie Washam.
I am the Reverend Jamie Washam, speaking to you here from the First Baptist Church in America here in Providence, Rhode Island. And we continue to stand for religious liberty, to be a place of shelter and refuge for what Roger Williams said, for persons distressed of conscience. We are different politically, we're different theologically.
And they embrace wicked ideals and the rainbow agenda. To see this, we need look no further than the sign out in front of the church. On this occasion, they said, treat everyone you meet like God in drag, wickedness, and notice the pride sign over in the side. On another occasion, they put on the sign God's pronouns, he, him, she, her, they, them. I often tell people when they ask me about my pronouns that it's thee and thou, as in thou shalt not. Just because a church starts out well doesn't mean it's going to remain that way. Sadly, throughout history, we find that over and over again, churches that were good have turned to contemporary music, new Bible versions, and worldly philosophies. As Bible believers, we must stand against this apostasy. In these last days, it is more important than ever that we be found faithful. Don't let your church go the way of the First Baptist Church in America. Beware of false prophets which come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravening wolves. Ye shall know them by their fruits. Do men gather grapes of thorns, or figs of thistles? Even so every good tree bringeth forth good fruit, but a corrupt tree bringeth forth evil fruit. A good tree cannot bring forth evil fruit, neither can a corrupt tree bring forth good fruit. Every tree that bringeth not forth good fruit is hewn down and cast into the fire. Wherefore by their fruits ye shall know them. Matthew 7:15-20. And have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather reprove them. Ephesians 5:11.